Welcome back to another episode of the Dat Fitness Podcast. This is episode 3, and we are talking today about identifying your ideal niche for your fitness business. Welcome, Dan. Hello.
Hi. Hello. Hi, Tom. Very good to be back.
What's your week been like this week? Full of 10K weeks? 7-figure?
10K days.
10K days, yeah. Every price ending in a 7.
Anything, yeah. All the price points have been changed recently to 7s.
Yeah,
and yeah, it's instantly resulted in this massive upsurge, because when we had like 9s at the end or 0s, nothing, and just changed it to 7s, magic. So yeah, that's a business hack for you.
There's no sales at all, and here's another good thing is if you can solve a problem for 7 people in 7 days, and the price ends in a 7. There's like a triple word score on that.
It like compounds, doesn't it? You get like a bonus rollover.
Yeah, it's so there's some secrets for you to take into your business next week. But seriously, today we're talking about the identifying the ideal niche. Now, we've done in the previous episodes, we did lead magnets and we did Instagram content, as in creating Instagram content. However, both those things are essentially irrelevant if you don't know who you're trying to attract, trying to sell to. So today, Dan and I thought we'd go over how to identify your niche, how to create it, why it's important, some essential things about why niches or how to pick your niche, and also why should you niche down and not go for a broader audience. So Dan, maybe it's worth talking about what our niches are. Obviously, we're both mentors and coaches of coaches, but in your fitness business, what's your niche?
What's our niche? So we help predominantly females to build gym confidence and to also be able to eat more food. So to get the performance from that, from basically, maybe if they come from a chronic background of under eating, underperforming, we go through a lot of the processes around getting them to eat more food and then building that confidence with the gym side of stuff. That's pretty much what our niche is now. It wasn't always that way. I think, like most people, we've probably done a few different things along the way. And when it started, when it was just me, and that was probably, what were we looking at, 9 years ago now, maybe 8-9 years ago. But it was much more broad, much more generic, because I do think at the beginning I wasn't really sure, and I've probably gone through the whole range of different things: busy professionals, wanting to work with just men, just women. But now it's kind of it's almost, we wanted to go that way, but then also we found ourselves kind of being taken that way as well with the audience that we were attracting with the content. So that was quite a cool experience as well. But yeah, that's mine. What's yours?
Well, I had a similar journey because when I first started coaching, I was still bodybuilding, and this is again 10 years ago, and I was doing bodybuilding competition. Although I had a bit of I had sort of semi-retirement for a few years, and then went back into it for that one season. But I was coaching bodybuilding people, and so yeah, all the stuff I was doing was around show prep, was around getting massive off season. So it was, pure like lifting, training, that sort of thing, bodybuilding, eating. And over the years after I come out of that, I picked up a few clients which were, let's say, normal clients, like run-of-the-mill clients, not bodybuilders, not competitive people, not people with that extreme mentality. And for some reason, I did really well. For some reason, because I'm so bloody awesome. But I don't know why, because all my content was about bodybuilding, but then people would come to me and I work with a few people who are a few women actually, who were they'd done like extreme diet. Well, you know the score, you work with women, and people watching this know what it's like. Women cut their carbs, not all, but just generally cut their carbs, want to lose fat, do loads of cardio. And there's that thing about demonizing foods, which obviously you know about, because that's your niche as well. So I transitioned into helping like normal people with jobs, with families, not compared to bodybuilders. And then when I wrote the book, the Target Lean, I was then into just nutrition, no training. And then for some reason, I thought, oh, sod that. I'm not doing that anymore.
Yeah.
And created Build. And that's what I do now is essentially it's people over 30 with families who enjoy going to the gym, who potentially struggle balancing all that. And they're not looking to essentially lose fat, but want to build a better body. So, we don't focus on fat loss, but that comes as part of it. And here's a question: do you have like an avatar for your niche? Do you have like a character you build your niche around?
No, I know you do, because I know you've got that kind of. I know some of that stuff was in like that book as well, wasn't it? But you've got like characters, which is a really cool way of doing it. We don't as such. We've probably got more examples of like clients who have gone through certain experiences that we then pull from, and then I guess like similar to you, it's just that even that now it's probably the most solid it's been in terms of this is what we do. And I think even throughout the years of trying to then work through different places and different niches, it's only now that it's like, right, cool, that is actually we're the most confident in it. And I just find that quite fascinating to know that it's probably similar, like in your experience as well. And I bet there's a lot of other coaches that are similar as well. That
So that,
did I go
somewhere? I'm just very quiet and very I'm just listening intently. So it looks as though I've frozen, but I haven't. I'm still just listening intently.
But yeah, that's pretty much, we don't have a character as such, but when we went through the rebrand process from coming through from when it was just me and old like Dan Mac days to now becoming the collective, we went through a whole process which took months in the end to build out the feel, the look, and the obviously the design element of the brand, but then also like who this is for, who it wants to talk to, what's the messaging within that, even the tone of voice. We've got like tone of voice documents and how we want things to be written, how they come across. So that's all been part of a process where we went right back and stripped through to the values. What do we want this to stand for? What are our personal values? What are the business values? And then from that, we were able to build out, okay, this is what we're standing for and who we're trying to help. I think that's a process that potentially gets missed a lot at the beginning, or it gets paid a little bit of like lip service to. Because you go, oh, yeah, I've done my ideal client stuff. What's next? How do I get clients? You're like, that is how you get clients. Like that stuff. That's how you do it. But where's the hack? Just add a 7, you'll be all right. That's fine.
7 clients. So that's interesting about the tone of voice, because let's say a lot of people don't consider that, and the language that, let's say, back to my competitive bodybuilding days, the language that competitive bodybuilding clients use to describe training is massively different from the language that people who say do build with me now, although they're still interested in weight training. And that's getting that tone of voice of how you speak to them is so important, which a lot of people miss.
Yeah, big time. That was a huge learning curve for us. I think without knowing it, I probably did do that to an extent on my own, and you start to talk in those ways and you position yourself in that way. But then when you actually look into the work and do the research on it and actually get this stuff down now, it helps one to solidify like who it is you're talking to, what's the message, and also you get rid of all the stuff that you don't need to do, like the stuff that potentially is not working or is just wasting your time. Like, just get rid of that. And then also, if you build a team around this, it's important to have that so that everyone knows this is what we do, this is how we are, these are the things that we support, these are our values, this is how we speak online, this is the language we use, even down to the way that we might write certain things. Like an example came up the other day, one-to-one coaching. We don't put 1-1, it's 1-2-1. So even like little things like that, that's the stuff that we looked at with it. And it might be a bit, too far for some people, but it's worth paying attention to.
Sorry, I think we cut out there for a sec, Dan. So you're just saying about you had all your copy and everything. I should go into those nuances about your the wording you use. And I don't think that's overkill at all, because you've got to use the language that your clients use. You've got to talk the way they talk. And say if someone describes a workout as training, but you always describe it as lifting, it's not, even on that microscopic level, it's not going to engage. And you won't know all that stuff unless you really get into identifying your niche, which is what we're going to talk about today.
Yeah, massively agree with that. Yeah.
Cool. Okay, so first of all, how do you identify your niche? Because, like I said, a lot of people treat this as a lip service exercise, and it's like, oh, I work with busy professionals who want to lose fat. You know, it's like that's and then okay, and you said let's now get some money, let's now get some clients, but it's not as easy as that, is it?
No, I'll probably make a few jokes on this, probably too often, to be fair, but
there's never enough times.
I think a lot of times people will say that what goes in your Instagram bio, that's my niche, sorted. So as long as it's in there, I've done my work, and you'll just expect floods of people to come to you. But it's so much more than that. It's everything around that, to be fair. What goes in your Instagram bio is the least important, I'll be honest. A lot of people make a big deal out of that, and yes, there's an argument for, you know, first impressions, but if the messaging around it doesn't support what you've put in there, then it doesn't make any sense. So it needs to be everything, and then not just, like you said, I help busy professionals get in shape without giving up the foods they like. Cool,
yay. Same as every other person in the fitness space.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm probably a little bit more the other way now. I think we're almost too carbon copy, too templated, too like want to be like everyone else, and no one's like stepping out of that a little bit and trying to just be different and push the boundaries. And if they are, sometimes they try and imitate someone else. So like they'll see someone who's an influencer now, and they'll try and be like them, but then they forget that they're not an influencer. They're a coach trying to run a business. You're not them. So you don't have to swear if it's not part of your personality and it's not what you do. And if you do, it comes across really false, because people can tell. Like if you not normally like that, it's really weird when you see someone and they're like throwing in the F-bombs and you're like, it's not like that really. Normally, like, that's really weird. But yeah, I don't know if you see that at all in the space.
Yeah, it's the thing in my mind is that most people, when they first encounter you on Instagram, will be from one of your posts. So, okay, they might click through to your profile and then have a little read of it just to see what you do or who you are. But if your content speaks to them, they don't need to do that, because you can say, well, I help busy professionals or whatever. But if your content speaks directly to that over 30 dad who wants to build muscle and balance his family life or whatever, if you've already done that with your content, it doesn't matter what's in your bio. They're still going to drop you a message to say, hey, I saw this video. Can you help me? Or can we talk about working together? They're not going to read your bio and go, oh, he only helps mums. Oh, that's no good, is it?
Yeah, exactly that. It's what goes around that, the messaging, the consistent messaging that comes with it. And I know that we'll probably touch on, but like the demographics, the age, the sex, the job, that kind of stuff is really kind of surface top level stuff. That's why I describe it as. And we'd always want to dig into the layers below that to find out, okay, what are the thoughts, the feelings, like the emotions that are going on below there? Because if you can get into that, then you can start to create content around those problems, and that's more effective, and that's what you really want. There's an example, like some of the best content I've ever had responses from is content that doesn't, perform particularly well in terms of like views or reach and that, but it's the ones that gets the inquiries, the requests, the messages. When you're talking about a specific thing that that audience wants or has a problem with, then you'll get the inquiries because it will resonate. And I remember recently, like we created a piece of content on like creating a client roadmap, a client journey, and it had like, I don't know, it's just not, when you look at it compared to other pieces of content, you're like, okay, cool, that didn't do very well. But I must have had about 6 different inquiries from it, just because they're like, this is what I need this in my business, like, can you help me? Like, so it's just understanding that is more powerful than just what little snippets you can put into your bio. Yeah,
and I don't think anyone's ever messaged me from and said, oh, I saw that you whatever is in my bio, can we have a talk about coaching? It's always, I saw this post, I read your email, and that resonated with me. Can we have a discussion? So the first thing then is, it's not just, the Instagram bio is the least of your considerations. The niche has to be, okay, you might have a certain demographic and what the problem is, but you've got to come down from that and identify all these problems that potentially your ideal customer has, and then create content to solve them. And we did an exercise on this on 7-11-4, didn't we, where we had 100 problems, and I remember people going, 100 problems, I can't think of 100 problems, and they all got 60 or so different problems which their niche has, because they knew who their person was. And I think we've both done that for our mentoring as well.
Yeah, again, you think it's a lot, it's not at all. You'll easily get that. And we a really good way to, if you do struggle with something like this, a really good way to help is to, and we do this a lot when coaches come into the mentoring, so we'll say, right, just pick one client that you work with now or you worked with in the past who you really enjoy working with and you want to work with more of the same, and then just map out their day, like from the moment they get up to when they go to bed. But don't do it in a way that is like, get up at 7, have breakfast, go to school, go to work, train, go to bed. Like, do it as in, like, when they get up, just what are the things that happen when they get up? Do they struggle to get out of bed? Are they jumping out of bed? Do they have a morning routine? Do they meditate? Do they jump in an ice bath? I don't know. But all those things are important. Or are they getting up and they're body checking straight away? Or they're thinking about, shit, what clothes am I going to wear today? How am I going to approach this meeting today that I've got? All those things, right? They're the things that you want to be understanding, not just like that they've got kids and that they've got a job. Like, it's more than that.
That technique, something similar that I use is, we talk about, I mean, obviously, hopefully you've read my book, but the sort of examples, the case studies I put into it are like real people, and my avatars, as in my ideal clients, come from those people, which is why my avatar is called Christian, or it's called Andy or something, because I'm literally just mapping out who they are and their problems and all the stuff that they struggle with and all the stuff that we did to solve that.
Yeah.
And most people, because if they haven't got a niche, will have worked with different types of people. So they'll have, like, maybe have a mum over 30, they'll have a dad over 50, or they'll have a busy professional executive who's like 25, and all those people require different things, but they might have worked with them and had success with all of them. And so from those people, you can probably pick an avatar or a niche that you want to work with and really drill down into those problems and basically create a product that solves that issue to perfect your niche.
Yeah, I think going off that is a better approach if you've got that research and that kind of background to pull from. I know that sometimes when you just start out, you potentially haven't got that to draw on, but then you might go down the road of, okay, like maybe trying a few different things out and just working with a few different people before. I don't know what your thoughts are on that. Yeah,
it's called dating your niche. So and this is what you do if you're literally just starting out as a coach and you've got no idea. You obviously hopefully have some education on nutrition and training, and hopefully you've got that knowledge, so you're not just like, oh, I'm going to be a coach today, who can I coach? I've done some workouts, I've eaten food, so obviously now I'm a nutrition and body transformation coach, but hopefully not. But you've got the education, you've got the training. So who do you work with? But I mean, you'll have an idea about who you want to work with, but you can date a few niches. And this is, I'm not sure if you've done this with you. When I was starting off my group coaching, I invited a load of people to come and work with me from different areas and work in the group, which is the Target Lean group, to see who I enjoyed working with the most in the group environment, so I could tailor the group, because I hadn't done it before. And you can do that. I think it's called Curious Student or something like that. You do some coaching for either free or reduced price so that you can learn and they can get value. Yeah, we've definitely done that at the start. We'd do a lot of things like that. So I'm looking for some people to help test out this new approach or this new method that I've got. And I'll, be able to
compensate you for your time, or even just do it for free and just give them the support. So yeah, definitely merit in doing that. But then what happens is, once you then have an understanding of who it is you want to work with, I think sometimes even at that level, I've definitely seen this happen in the past, where people would be like, right, I'm going to go and work with busy professionals because they're clearly the ones who've got all the money.
Yes.
That you shouldn't assume that either. But like, also then the content that they create is nothing to do with like the people they want to work with. So there's that disconnect. So you're creating content around how to create a calorie deficit and how to progressively overload in the gym and train effectively, or have a plan. It doesn't actually, it's not related to that niche. It's not specific. Yeah, it's really just too broad. So being able to just refine that down will make a difference. And sometimes it can be like a simple thing of just changing a few of the words that you use and the language that you talk about. But it feels like alien sometimes, because you're like, well, if I do that, what if I then don't? What if these people then don't want to work for me? And that's the whole point.
Yeah. So let's talk about that. Is because a lot of people have this fear, and it's a legitimate fear. Oh, if I'm too polarizing, if I'm too niche, then I'm going to repel people who might spend money with me, and that's a serious concern for people who are, not raking in the money. They're not doing 10K months, whatever. They're just starting out. They're just learning as a coach, and obviously they want to take on business. They want to have business to pay the bills. So there is this fear that, well, if I repel people, then I'm going to turn away potential business, and that, realistically is I can't pay the bills.
Yeah.
So what would your reply to be to that?
I mean, I've definitely taken on people in the past who were not the right fit for coaching, and you realize that after a while, actually, I've taken you on, but because I needed to take you on, the business needs to progress, and we need to bring income into it. But then I did find, and I'll always stand by this as well, like they were probably it was more hassle than it was worth, looking back on it.
Yeah.
Are you there? Are you paused?
Yeah, exactly the same, mate.
Yeah, and it's just like, I try and think about it now, and looking back, and I've got examples in my head of these clients, and I think, actually, at the time I was probably kidding myself, going, yeah, but they're paying you this money. But then looking back, you're like, it was so much hassle. It was just not worth it. And then, because then I think you spend all your time worrying about this one or two people, that you could be putting all that attention into the clients who are, the people you want to help, and also bringing in new people who are like these people here.
Yeah.
But you're too preoccupied with this one person who's an absolute nightmare.
Yeah. And we've all done that. We've all had our clients who thought, like, you know what, that'll pay this bill for this month, so that'll be okay. And they're, I don't know, taking on people where I had a group coaching model, and they're like, oh, I want a one-to-one. Yeah, but you haven't paid for that. You've paid for a group model. Oh no, but that's what I wanted. And it's like, all these things. Oh, can you do me a bespoke diet plan? I don't do bespoke diet plans because you're not a performance nutrition. You don't need a performance nutrition setter. If you just learn how to do your diet, that's what you need. And it's, do you know what? You're just going to be more hassle than it's worth. But you're right, those people, they just take up your time and sap the energy out of you. It's better to say, if you've got those people, if you've got that criteria of who you work with, do you know what? You just don't fit. There's a few, you don't say there's a few red flags, but it's just not I don't think we're going to work well together.
Yeah. And then that brings it back to the messaging and the content, because if you then are putting that throughout your content and it's consistent, those people will see that, and they won't then eventually reach out to you. And hopefully over time, you'll see the amount of those people getting less and less and less. The people who are like, can you do me a diet plan? Can you do this? We don't get them anywhere near as much as what we used to, where it would be like message like, do you do diet plans? I'm like, okay, and maybe
a diet plan, mate.
You try and like fit it in at the start. You'd be like, oh, can I make this work? And then you just know in your heart that it's just not going to work out. So yeah, if you're putting that into your content and you're saying, by the way, we don't do diet plans. What we do is we work with you like this, 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 and this. And they're like, actually, yeah, maybe I don't want that. I'm going to go and find the 20 quid diet plan over here. Like, cool, suit yourself.
Yeah. Be their hassle, not mine.
Yeah.
And I think that's really important, is the content should repel people who aren't suitable for you. It should actively, if you don't do, like you said, if you don't do bespoke diet plans, put that in and say, we don't want to work with people who want bespoke diet plans, because that's not how we coach. If you say, for example, all you do is home workouts, don't do stuff in the gym, because you're not gonna attract the people you want. It's I think that's really important, that you are repelling as well as attracting your ideal customer. So I think we went a bit off tangent there, but still good stuff. So what's the difference between a niche and a demographic then?
It's a good question, isn't it? Because the demographic for me is just those key areas that we spoke about before. So like really going into that's a certain age, or a certain occupation, or male, female, kids, busy. But when we're looking at the overall niche, you've paused on me, but you're back. The overall niche is the bigger picture. So it's everything that comes with it. It's the messaging throughout it, your brand, the overall delivery, the way that your values, the way that comes across, the actual product that you offer as well, like what that is, how it works. It's, for me, that's everything encompassing. And then the psychographics come into that. So where you've got your demographics here, but top level, I would build into the layers underneath it, the psychographics of how they're feeling and their emotions, and the kind of self-limiting beliefs that you want to dig into a little bit, that kind of stuff. What do you think?
Yeah, exactly. It's I think a lot of people get caught up with, my niche is my I help statement, and it isn't really. I mean, that I help people build muscle, lose fat. Okay, that's potentially part of your niche, but your niche isn't just all that, because you're not going to help everybody in the world do that, because people are going to have different requirements, aren't they?
Yeah.
So I think that's a demographic is like men over 30 or professionals, or a very broad thing. But your niche is almost, if you imagine a Venn diagram, you've got the what they want help with here, and then you've got like the demographic here. So you might have men over 30 here, and then over here you've got who have a family and want to get to the gym 4 times a week but can't.
Yeah.
And then that crossover, that's the niche that you work in, where you're solving a specific problem for a specific person. Yeah. That's my understanding of niche. And then, like you said, there's all those sub levels down from that, all the problems they face.
Yeah. That's exactly it. Then you could tie those into that in terms of specific problem for a person, and you can even put in like time frames there, which sometimes I think works, and other times it could hinder you a little bit. But again, it's all part of building out what the overall perception is of what you do.
Yeah. So when you're building your niche, there's 3 things to consider, and I have these 3 things. You might have a different way you do it, but what I'm always looking at is can I help this person? So am I skilled to help this person? The second one is, do I like this person? Right. And then the third one is, can this person afford my services? So for example, if you, for now, I can help bodybuilders, I absolutely can help bodybuilders build muscle, and probably get into decent shape for competition. Do I like doing that? Do I like working with those people? No, not anymore. So I wouldn't do it, because it doesn't tick that box. And could I get paid? Well, if they had any money left over from gear, maybe, but I don't know. That's going to be their priority, isn't it? So, so there's maybe 1 no box, and then 1 maybe box, and then 1 yes box. So that demographic wouldn't be, that niche, wouldn't be good for me. And that's how I coach, but also how I establish if I can help people or not, and if I want to work with those people. Do you have like a formula you use?
Yeah, probably similar. But we do a lot of this because I'm not really coaching as in like our coaching, but when we get the coaches come in with the mentoring side stuff, we have like a short 15-minute call. And on that call, I always say this, that it's for me as much as it is for them, because on that call is about, I know I can help them kind of before that call, because we've done a little bit of pre-qualifying, but then on the call, it's just to find out and confirm it. But then also it's really big for me to find out if I want to work with that person. And I'm open on them calls now. And I say at the end, I'm like, I'll be honest, this call is just if I can get a feel for want to work with you, because a big part of the mentoring is having people you work with that you enjoy and you buzz off. And that drives me more than if I had someone who was a bit of a drain, I'd be like, it's not going to work for us. So yeah, I do use it in that format as well.
Yeah, absolutely. It's I mean, you've got to like the people who work with, haven't you? And it's no good saying, I work with busy professionals who have got, 10K a month to spend if they are absolute idiots to work with, and it's just going to be massive stress for you. Yeah, you might be getting paid a lot, but you've got to enjoy your job, haven't you?
Yeah. And I think you have to understand, you have to get the way that we work, and you have to get our kind of our values. You have to align with them, and you have to align with our humor and the way we are, because if not, then it's not going to work out. And you would have had this, I think we touched on this on another episode, where someone who hasn't seen anything to do with you get on a call with them, and it's like, nah, this isn't going to work. I can tell within the first 10 seconds.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, especially if their first question is how much is the coaching?
Yeah.
It's that's a big red flag for me. How much do you cost?
Yeah. And it's a long call then.
Yeah. Yeah, it is, yeah. Okay, so I suppose that the previous 2 episodes we've talked about lead magnets, and we've also talked about Instagram fitness content, which were both awesome episodes. If you haven't watched them or listened to them, so go back and watch them. But those 2 things, you can't do any of that until you've identified your niche, have you? And I think we talked about this earlier, whereby as long as you know who you're helping, you then know what lead magnet to create, as in what solves their problem, and then you can show that you can help them, and also the content you can create. So any other consideration do you think that you need to have in, say having a niche needs to be in place before you do that next step?
It has a massive impact on your coaching process, because if you understand who you're going to help, and you know that you've got you understand their problems, you understand how they work and their day-to-day lives and struggles, then when you're creating your coaching programs and your service and how you deliver that, it makes it a lot easier for you to program and actually coach effectively, because you're not having too many like variations in terms of the people who are coming into your business, which makes you able to do your job better, because you can then help more people and get better results. Then you can showcase that, which then has a knock-on effect to more people coming into your business. Whereas if you had like a powerlifter here, and then you're working with a busy mum over here, and then you've got like a chef, or I don't know, whatever, that they're just like, they could all have stuff in common. I'm probably a bad example. Yeah. But the thing is, like, you might have a way of sort of going, even the way you deliver the program, or the way it's written, or even the coaching process itself, you start to tailor that to get the best results for this type of person. And if you're having constantly different people come into it, it makes it very difficult to do that. So there's probably another consideration for it, really.
Yeah, a nice analogy. I can't remember who, because this isn't my analogy. This is one of these business things I've been on, and they were talking about if you go in hospital with a needing heart surgery, and you've got 2 doctors, and one's like a general surgeon. He goes, yeah, I've had some training with heart surgery. I can do this. There's no problem at all. It'd be a good learning experience. And then you got the other guy who all he does every single day is fix hearts, and that's all he does. Which one are you going to pick?
Exactly. Yeah. I'm a risk taker though, anyway. So
I'll go. You're Dan Danger Smith.
Like this. I know we were talking about this before we started, about the barbers thing. When you go into barbers and everyone's got their preferred barber, and they're like, no, you go cut next, and they're like, no, mate, I'm waiting for him, and then it'll go next, and you'll go, no, I'm waiting for him as well. And you're like, I always feel really, really bad, because I'll be like, I'll do it, don't worry. I'm going in there, because I can't bring myself to be the guy who's like, yeah, oh no, I'll wait for that guy. So yeah, a bit of a tangent there, but
yeah. Well, but people have their favorite barbers, they have their favorite. I mean, I've got a hairdresser who I've seen for the last 15 years, and I don't have much hair to cut. So most people could make probably a competent job of it. But I see her because she knows what I like. She can cut it the way I want it to be cut, all these things. And it's just more natural for me to go to her than say go to someone else and say, oh, this is what I want. This is what I want to happen. And I think that when people are deciding on their niche, you've got to think in that respect, is that if you solve a specific problem for a specific person, and let's not forget that we're just talking about the UK, there's millions of people in the UK, and all you need to make a successful business is about 20, 30 clients paying you, X amounts per month. So in all the people in the UK, are there 30 people that you would solve this specific problem for? Yeah, obviously there is going to be. You obviously need to get to identify with those people and market to them. But if you can solve that specific problem, one, you can obviously charge a higher rate, but also you can really, really give them great results. So your testimonials are going to be absolutely off the wall in terms of, look at what I've achieved for this person. It was the perfect transformation.
Yeah. Well, just one thing I thought of there about this as well, which goes into timescales, because again, once you've got that niche and you've really done your research into it and you're clear on this, and you start to create those pieces of content for the niche, and it's relevant, it's specific, then be prepared to do that for a consistent period of time. Because again, I see this a little bit in the spaces where you'll go, right, I've got it, I've nailed it now, I've got my niche, here's the thing, create content with it, do it for 2 weeks, and then go, well, no one's inquiring, and then they'll go, well, I need to go and work with these people. So they do the whole thing again for 2 weeks. And then it's the equivalent of program hopping. When you're going out to the gym, you're like, well, this week I'm doing 5-3-1, this week I'm going to do GVT stuff. And you're like, nothing's working. I don't know why I'm not growing. You're like, because you're just jumping from one thing to the other and not giving it the time. So I guess that's another thing to sort of tag into this, is be consistent with it and give it the amount of time that it's needed.
Yeah, because you need that. We talked about this before, the 7-11-4 thing. You need to have that 7 hours of people engaging with your content or viewing your content, knowing you as a person. And yeah, like you said, 2 weeks is not enough time. Think about an Instagram reel is 8 seconds for us, maybe a minute. And so that's a minute. They've got to watch a lot of Instagram reels to then trust you to help with their thing. So there's a lot of people just jump from whatever to whatever and think, oh, maybe it's this one. And a lot of the time they look at what other people are doing and go, oh, well, that person's making loads of money doing that niche. That's where I should be. But the reason they're making loads of money in that niche is because they've been doing it for years and years and years, and they know exactly what problems to solve. Yeah,
that there's so many similarities between training and running your business. Like when you look at the big guys in the gym and you're like, geez, man, how have you got like today? I've just been doing it for 20 years.
Roids.
Yeah, I know. but then also they have been doing it the longest. The biggest, most in shape guys, most conditioned, they've normally been doing it the longest amount of time. And you're like, yeah, that's probably it. Like, so just apply that to what you're doing here.
Yeah, and also when you look at people who have been training, I mean, this is a tangent, but it's a similar thing. When you look at people who have been training for years and years and years, their form in the mainstay is pretty much perfect.
Yeah.
They lift exactly how they should be lifting, because if they don't, they're probably injured and they don't go to the gym a lot. But they are always on point with their form. They always control their reps. They always take adequate rest, etc., etc. And that is exactly how a niche should be. My niche when I go into the gym, I'm a former bodybuilder, so I absolutely am training for bodybuilding. I don't do HIIT, I don't do air bike or any of that rubbish because I can't do it. But I go in and lift weights, and I do it perfectly because that's my niche for training.
Yeah.
And I think people need to think about that when they're looking at their niche. It has to be perfect. You need to have a PhD in your customers' problems.
Yeah, I like that. PhD. Good.
That's Daniel Priestley's. It's not mine, unfortunately. I can't claim credit for that. So it's a really good one. Incidentally, we did lead magnets the other day.
Yeah.
I saw a really good, and this is obviously off topic, whatever, sort of on topic. And it was a reel by Daniel Priestley. And he was talking about if you go into, and this is talking about lead magnets, or product for prospects, he calls it. And he said, let's say you go into a gaucho restaurant, yeah, which is super, super expensive, isn't it? You sit down, and for like your starter or your aperitif, they give you like a massive 12-inch pizza with all the cheese on and everything else. And you eat it, and they give you that for free. And you eat it, and then they say, oh, they bring out the menus, and you go, I'm full now. I've eaten. And that's an awesome metaphor. I thought, oh, I wish I'd thought of that.
Yeah.
But it's an awesome metaphor. It's exactly the right thing with lead magnets. People give too much away on the lead magnet. And when it comes around to sales, like, nah, mate, you solved my problem. Thanks. I'm full up now. Cheers. I'll see you later. And it was for free. Cheers.
Yeah. It's an interesting one, because that's what people say, you should give away your best work for free. But I think there's a caveat with that, is like, yes, give away like the best stuff for free, but not so much that then they don't need you.
Yeah, it's the difference between know-how and know-how, isn't it? So know-how, as in I've got the know-how to help you, and here's like a free thing to show you that, or I know how to help you, and here's how to do the thing you need to do, and then you solve the problem, so then they don't need you anymore, which is, but that's you need to withhold a little bit so people do want to come and work with you. Because we don't work for free, do we? Bills don't get paid for free. Heating doesn't turn on for free.
No, I like that analogy. Although I probably would have eaten the main as well, to be fair.
Bring it on. I'll have the 12-inch steak as well. Yeah, you're the outlier on that analogy. We're just warming up here.
Oh, man.
Excellent. I think we've done a pretty good cover of that. Is there anything we've missed?
I think that's pretty much everything on the list, I think.
Oh, I've got something just quick at the end. Words not to use in your niche statements.
Nice.
All right, I'll go first. Busy. I see.
How about busy?
You're missing a glaring one here.
Which one?
Professional.
Professional.
Yeah.
I suppose. Anything like that. Those kind of words. Stressed. Because I think if you results. That's one.
Results. Yeah.
Yes.
So, what about struggle?
Yeah.
Because the struggle thing is, and this is an interesting thought, when you want to attract and repel people, if you're always talking about struggles and people who struggle, you're attracting the people who are at the real bottom end and they're really struggling. So they potentially become customers who are, they've tried everything. And sometimes the reason why things aren't working is because they don't implement what they've been told. So struggle for me is like a big, I would not use that. I would be more looking at positive stuff, like who want help with.
Yeah, trying to show the outcome and focusing on that. But I also think help or helping is something that's similar, because you either do it or you're not doing it, right? So you either deliver this outcome or it's where you're helping. It's almost like saying, we are doing that. I don't know.
It's how you word it, isn't it? It's and I know we both use help in our statements, but I know your language and mine is always about delivering the results, not holding your hand all the way through. It's about transferring knowledge and anything else. But the helping busy professionals is it just says nothing, does it?
No, it could be. It's almost lazy, because it could be so much better if there's just, it indicates to me straight away there's been zero thought done to it, because it's just an easy thing to do. All you're saying is, I want to work with the people who potentially have got the excess income to be able to pay me. That's what it comes across as. It doesn't really tell me anything else.
Yeah. And also,
mums,
have you ever met a non-busy mum?
No, exactly. They're all like, well, I don't know if there is one, but
I don't think it exists, or I don't think they exist.
No. So it shouldn't be that, should it? It could be more around stressed mums with part-time jobs and trying to hold down their family and and get in shape, or whatever it is. Probably get in shape is a bit shit, but you
Yeah.
could really expand on it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the language is using has to be. I mean, and use the thesaurus.com is a great one for different words rather than busy or struggling or help. Yeah. Although we both do use help sometimes.
Yeah. I don't even know what's in mine. I definitely, my personal profile doesn't have it on it because I recently I changed, in Instagram, you can change your name. So I started playing around with it and I was like, you know what, I'm bored of seeing the same stuff on the same thing. So I changed it to, you can only change it twice and then it blocks you for 14 days. So
Yeah.
I was stuck with your nan's favorite mentor.
I know, I saw that.
For 2 weeks. And do you know what? I've kept it because I've had so many messages about it. It's brilliant. So I'm keeping it now. And I just think, do you know what? There's all these people out there telling you how to optimize your bios and do, I'm like, why don't you just have some fun with it and like be a little bit different? But
I love your nan's favorite mentor. But when I was scrolling down, I saw that and I thought, what the hell is that? But you're right. It's standing you out. It's attracting. It's standing you out against the crowd, isn't it? So it's a good way to get your personality across, isn't it?
Yeah. I don't know whether I'll keep it, but at the moment, yeah, keep it on there. Definitely.
Great. Okay. Everything done? Missed anything?
No, I think that's covered. That was a really exhaustive, list on or input on niche stuff. So hopefully there's loads of stuff there for people to.
It was a busy list.
Yeah.
Which many professionals could make use of. Great stuff. Okay. I'll see you on the next one, episode 4, where I don't know what we're going to talk about. We'll decide next week.
Yeah. On it.
Bill, thanks, Dan. See you next time.
Yeah.